Okay, we're just very excited. Next slide, please. Next slide. Today, I welcome you to the third in our SiNERGe CBO Collaborative Webinar Series. My name is Grace Bigelow, and I'm the SiNERGe Project Community-Based Organization Outreach Coordinator, and will be moderating today's session. With these sessions, we are hoping to provide the most current information on a variety of topics of particular interest to the sickle cell community. We hope to target a lay audience, thus having the content be very accessible to all patients, family members, caregivers, and the wider sickle cell community. I always welcome suggestions from all of you on topics that you would like to learn about or people that you'd particularly like to hear from. Excited to move the series from the focus of our first two webinars, specifically discussing hydroxyurea therapy, to a broader conversation on other strategies to improve health and well-being of those living with sickle cell disease, focusing on the very important topic of good nutrition. This webinar will provide our audience with a health professional, Dr. Charlie Ware of Healing Blends Global, addressing what constitutes a nutritious diet and the science that informs us of what's both healthy and necessary for us, and how that compares with a more modern diet. Dr. will also give us suggestions on how to easily adopt a healthy diet. And we'll hear a personal narrative of the parent of a child living with sickle cell disease, Ms. Nikki of the community-based organization here in Maryland, Simone and Friends. The impact of changing to a predominantly organic diet in the health of her daughter and her whole family. We hope their presentations will both inform and inspire us, hopefully galvanizing us in our resolve to continue working towards improving the lives of those living with sickle cell disease, as well as improving the relationships between those living with sickle cell disease, their families, and the healthcare system. Both of our presenters will speak for about 15 minutes, and that will be followed by a brief Q&A period after each presenter. Then we'll open it to questions on both presentations as well as any other questions related to the topic. We ask that you submit your questions in writing in the space provided at the bottom of your computer screen on the right-hand side, and we'll read as many questions as we have time for to the presenters for their response. The views expressed by the presenters are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the William E. Proudford Sickle Cell Fund, the SiNERGe Project, or associated parties. This webinar is for informational purposes only. Individuals seeking medical advice should always see a qualified health professional. Next slide, please. Happy at this moment to introduce Dr. Charlie Ware. Dr. Ware specializes in natural pain management and functional medicine. He is an author, international lecturer, and president and CEO of Healing Blends Global. Dr. Ware's research projects are rooted in finding solutions to chronic diseases that plague our society. Dr. Ware has lectured and researched for treatments for sickle cell disease for many years. Dr. Ware has created wellness programs for Fortune 500 companies, served as a consultant to one of the leading health and beauty companies in America, and routinely sits on the Pediatric Palliative Center Grand Rounds at DiMaggio in Hollywood, Florida. Dr. Ware also sits on the National Coalition for Good Governance of Nigeria, the U.S. branch, where he is the Director of Science and Research. Dr. Ware also worked at Biologics as medical consultant and senior vice president. Dr. Ware is passionate about creating natural, healthy, science-based solutions for sickle cell disease. He prefers to use a natural method to health and healing because the risk of potential side effects are reduced or non-existent. Dr. Ware believes there is a natural solution to virtually every health concern today. Welcome, Dr. Ware. We look forward to your presentation.
Thanks for having me, Grace. I truly appreciate the opportunity to further educate individuals on how eating healthy can be very, very easily obtained. And it's my pleasure to be able to present the information. Hopefully, we'll have individuals that have a better way of living and a good mindset toward being healthy as well, for their health, wellness, and longevity as well. Eating well, a key component to living well with sickle cell. Next slide, please. There are four components to having a very healthy diet and also understanding how to eat healthy. First is you have to have a nutrient-based food source. The second, you have to understand what trace minerals and vitamins really are. Yes, I'm going to use the F word, which is fat. You have to have the proper fat. And the fourth, you got to stay hydrated in an efficient way in order for you to be able to be healthy and be well. Next. Thousands of studies have performed since the 1940s that show that the human body requires approximately 100 different nutritional building blocks, in addition to water and also oxygen, that ensures a healthy body and mind as well. There are 12 essential fatty acids, 12 different amino acids, 3 essential fatty acids, 16 vitamins, as you will see here, 7 plus minerals or trace minerals that are needed for the body to actually function just on a daily basis. And I'll be more into the trace mineral complex next. Next slide, please. Chemicals doing in our body. And this is from a SiNERGe document that was actually in the 1950s that I actually had the pleasure of researching it and seeing. But back in the 50s, it stated that an organism, a body, supplied with a proper diet, basically all the minerals required will be able to produce the proper immunity to ward off infections, far exceeding any immunity that we are able to create artificially. Excuse me. Next slide, please. This are essentially made up of 2/3 of all the nutrients that we actually need. But today's food, today's diet, will allow us to be able to achieve that. And a study recently that said 66% of Americans are getting the proper nutrition in their daily diet. And this is all across all types of economic frames, all different ethnicities as well. So that means that 66% of us are walking around malnutrient. We are eating food on a basis, we're not getting the proper nutrients. And what we need to do is actually have the body break itself down in a very inefficient way. Next, please. I'm going to get very specific into the reason why trace minerals and nutrients are very important to sickle cell disease itself. Now, this is an excerpt from one of the studies that were done back in the late 80s that says undernutrition, and it's very specific to say undernutrition, not malnutrition, but undernutrition identified as a crucial feature of sickle cell disease, but has not been adequately addressed. The first and most direct evidence of insufficient micronutrients intake were demonstrated by clinically improving the dietary revisions in someone's diet. This is 1985. Basically did was they took a group of individuals, it was 25 individuals, where they didn't per se change the actual diet. All it was actually give them a little bit more protein. As you see, 35% more protein for 90 days. And that 90 days of having a little more protein in their system, what all these chemicals mean, like the inflammatory protein, the C-reactive protein, and interleukin number 6, those are inflammatory responses that the body identifies as being painful and or just causing other disease throughout the body. So by doing just a 35% increase in their diet, they were able to actually reduce the rate of sickle cell crisis in these individuals. And this study was done in 1985. And then furthermore, in 2006, Dr. Evans basically stated that if you were to supply the proper nutrients on a particular level and also a medical level, there essentially should be no reason for genetic disorder to actually cause as much pain as it is, i.e. sickle cell. So I'll paraphrase the last portion. Therefore, no doubt that this genetic abnormality can be managed successfully only by nutrition alone in the near future, and knowledge of pathophysiology of the disease becomes apprehensive nutrition, to nutritionists and also other scientists. So basically, this is showing us that food is our medicine, or as the saying says, let food be thy medicine, is very, very important as well. So we should need for that to occur as well. Next slide. Now, identify what, in my opinion, are the most important nutrients for a sickle cell patient to have. I said these are my personal opinions because of the fact that we deal with micronutrients, which is really orthomolecular nutrition. Really looking at what are these micronutrients really doing to the body. As you see, I actually have folate as number 6, which is the lower level, but what we're mostly being pushed towards. Everyone has to take their folic acid, but again, folate acid is a natural form of folic acid. But I'm jumping into it really quick. So is very, very important because of the fact that it helps to maintain tissue or muscle, nerves, and also connective tissue from breaking itself down. More, it also helps iron get out of the red blood cell. It also, on top of that, helps carbohydrates get inside the cell as well. Carbohydrates are very important because they actually are the little nutrient energy packs that allow the cell itself to actually do its job, meaning need energy to keep going. And the copper is one of the trace minerals that, we basically need on a daily basis. On a very microscopic level, copper does such a huge thing. It's one of the nutrients, again, that is very, very uncommonly diagnosed or uncommonly given to a lot of patients. Is growth immunity. A lot of times you will see zinc lozenges where someone has a cold or a flu because of the fact that it's shown that if you have a zinc deficiency, it will help boost your immunity. But the other thing that we don't know about zinc that's very, very important, in fact, is the fact that zinc is responsible for over 300 chemical processes inside the stomach and also nervous system. So if you're on zinc, you're not going to be able to absorb any of the other nutrients that your body actually requires on a daily basis. Zinc is also in charge of a lot of other sensory organs as well, which would be like maybe for the eyes or even for the hearing. It's been shown that in some individuals, especially with sickle cell, have a zinc deficiency, their taste buds aren't the same. They may have actually bad eyesight as well because of the fact that the possibility of the zinc deficiency is definitely there as well. And we all know is very, very good for things of that sort. So very, very prevalent in a lot of our sickle cell patients, especially when they're going through a crisis. A lot of times the crisis may start off as them having a cramp. But more importantly, again, magnesium is important because it's in charge of another 200 to 300 different chemical processes, along with helping red blood cells, along with helping neurological function, along with helping the muscles fire and move appropriately as well. In my opinion, is phenomenal and is very, very underused in the sickle cell community. The reason why is because it's a mega antioxidant. An antioxidant really is nothing more than a substance that can do several things. It's going to rid the body of any sort of broken cells, dead cells, i.e. sickle cells that need to walk the body. And so any sort of heavy metals that you may have ingested from eating medications and things of that sort, it won't allow the body to build itself up. And also, it can also help with some iron chelation as well in higher dosages. So vitamin C is very, very key to have inside of your daily intake to be able to pull a lot of that heavy metal out of your system, as well as help the old red blood cells and old cells that aren't functioning properly to get washed away out of the system efficiently as well. The vitamin E. Vitamin E really is a mega term for about 8 different types of vitamin E out there, but all of them are still fatty acids. As I said before, we'll get into the whole fat talk, but vitamin E, again, is an antioxidant, but also, more importantly, it helps protect the actual cells themselves. cells, the cell membrane, to make sure these red blood cells and the oxygen cells stay nice, round, and plump. That way, they can carry oxygen. They can help the body repair itself a lot faster as well. With vitamin E as well, you also have to be a little careful because in very, very high doses for a long period of time, it can also thin the blood out a little bit, which in sickle cell cases, it may or may not be a good thing. Well, but I had it very, very high on the list for substances that I like for my patients to also take as well. The next would be folate acid. Folate acid is what's commonly used, but folic acid is actually the synthetic form of folate acid. The word folate, it sort of reminds you of like foliage, leaves. The Latin term is actually, it states, is actually leaf. And basically, folic acid is found in virtually every leafy green vegetable. I prefer most of my vitamin intake to be natural. So folate acid is a natural form of the folic acid, which is B vitamin that helps the body, again, to help the oxygen get into the red blood cell and maintain itself. It also helps with iron as well. It's a phenomenal thing that a lot of sickle cell patients, of course, we need. But in order for the folate acid to even work, you need the zinc. You also need the magnesium in your system efficiently enough to be able to uptake folic acid to make sure it does the job. Again, it's a B vitamin, B9 that a lot of us are lacking in our diet. Thionate. Thionate is actually a phytonutrient. It's not a micronutrient, it's a phytonutrient. Phytonutrient is something that comes from a plant in natural form. Thionate is found in a lot of the root veggies, a lot of leafy green veggies as well. And the reason why I'm putting it up here is because this is one of the few nutrients or phytonutrients that is shown in research to show that it has anti-sickling effects. You can get it as a supplement, but as I'll show you later on, it's very important for you to eat your way back to health. So I'll show you some of the things that actually has thionate inside of it, so I'll allow your body to work efficiently as well and have those anti-sickling effects. There's a research in certain parts of Ghana, and you've got things of that sort that shows that a lot of these diets, a lot of people with sickle cell have these high thiocide diets, and they have less chances or less crises average individual as well. So it's very important to have in your system. Now, what's important? As I said before, fats usually are important because of the fact that they help the body protect itself. Protect from what? It protect itself from other chemicals, because again, a lot of the bad chemicals that we ingest are actually stored inside of the fat of our body until we're able to store it away. But also fat is important because of the fact that natural fat is actually in our body stored as little energy packs. When processes happen, that fat can be converted into sugar or into energy to allow us to actually, function efficiently. As well as building blocks for cell membranes, again, to keep the cells nice and round, so when a chemical process happens, we can uptake it. The fat is actually what's called melanated, and those are all fatty chains. So if you have enough fat in your system, your nervous system won't function properly, as well as your hormone system will start to shut down. As women, get older, they lose a lot of their hormones, and they start to get, a little fat in the belly and their hips and their arms. That's basically the body storing extra fat to allow them to have more hormones inside their system. Not necessarily a bad thing, but again, if we ingest the proper fat, that fat will start to dissipate. Now, why is it important for a sickle cell patient? It's important because of the fact that the anti-inflammatory aspects of these fatty acids are apparent. The more that we see that, again, able to keep the body in check, they're able to actually make sure the body is having the proper chemical processes happen, make sure the nerves are firing properly, make sure, again, the anti-inflammatory aspects are actually occurring as well. So it's really important for you to get the proper fats inside your diet on a daily basis. Next slide. Number of fats, or a criteria for you to be able to say, okay, what's a good fat, what's also a bad fat. Now, higher percentage of saturated fatty acids, they're more stable. Meaning is that they're able to take on more other chemical processes. You don't want something that's completely saturated and is just a empty shell. I'll say it like that. Fat from animal sources. I may be organic or whatever, but I still tell all my patients you still can have animal fat. Ghee is a phenomenal product that I tell all my patients to have, again, because it has the anti-inflammatory properties and stuff. But make sure that is organic. Make sure it's raised in the pasture and it's grass-fed. No pesticides, no chemicals inside of it. The best acids used from a plant source that, again, are organic, they're sustainable, and they're minimally processed. You want as raw as possible. Coconut is phenomenal. You can put it on your skin, you can cook with it, you can ingest it, you can use it in your hair. You know, all those things are very important. But again, if you have that fat in your system, you know, a lot of doctors will say, well, you know, you got to look at your cholesterol levels, things of that sort, but you got to look at, but you need certain amounts of fat out in your system to make all these other processes happen. So I'm not saying go crazy with them on a daily basis. What I say is, as much as you should have about 1 to 2 spoons of a good plant-based fatty acid on a daily basis. And good examples are the grass-fed or clarified butter or ghee, coconut palm oil, again, only if it's sustainable, olive oil, plant oil such as extra virgin olive oil, seed oils, things of that sort as well. So it's a very, very good source. Next, please. Hydration. We ask this question a whole lot, like how much water should I be drinking? How much water should my kids be drinking? The rule of thumb that I used to use, and I still sort of use it, is we urinate out about, as a child, anywhere from 24 to 26 ounces of liquid. As an adult, it might be a little bit more, 32 to 36 ounces a day. I usually say we should just replenish what we let out on a daily basis. Because again, water was we call hydrolysis, which means the cells will explode from being overhydrated, or the water start to go inside your interstitial fluids or inside the cells as well. You don't want that. You want a nice balance. What I use is 6 to 12 8-ounce glasses. I live here in Florida. It's still hot down here. It's 89 degrees today. You guys up there in the Northeast or other places, I know it's a little bit cooler, so you won't have to drink as much water. But again, as soon as we go outside, we're going to sweat. You guys there, you won't sweat today, hopefully. But again, what you're taking out. Eat a lot of water-rich foods. Do watermelon, things of that sort. You may have to drink as much water, but you still have to drink some sort of water. Again, I'm a huge fan of coconut water because, again, coconut water is the closest to our blood plasma. Has all trace minerals inside of it. It's phenomenal. Love it, love it, love it. So if you can get a good source of that, you should definitely drink it on a daily basis as well. An easy way to actually get your trace minerals is a trick that I start doing with a lot of my patients is the pink sea salt, the Himalayan sea salt, the Celtic sea salt. The sea salt will be pink. The Celtic sea salt will be more gray because they're in their raw state. These salts actually have about 85 to 90% of the trace minerals that we need on a daily basis. Like regular, you get like from Morton's or whatever, will have about anywhere from, I say, 60 trace minerals. These will have, again, about anywhere from 90 to 120 different trace minerals inside of it. What is you drink about 12 ounces of water, put just a little tiny pinch of that inside of your water, you'll see your body will respond different because it has all the trace minerals in it on a daily basis. So it's not just with water, it's also with your trace minerals as well. Next slide, please. Now, does all this really mean? So, of course, I give you tricks on how you can start to eat healthy on a daily basis because it's all about forming habits. Begin morning with drinking water with lemon. Just end up with 6 ounces, 8 ounces, 6 ounces of water with lemon. You got to do that. Eat whole food. Again, whole foods, that's way too expensive, but eat actual fruit, veggies, beans, leaves, and reduce the amounts of processed foods that you're ingesting. I add in dried fruit, or actual fruit itself. eat at least twice a day. And yes, I mean food, not candy or not processed food. Eat nutrients is also to drink a fresh made green juice. At least 16 ounces of that. That means you can juice, your kale, your broccoli, your spinach, a green apple, things like that. Just you get that in your system. And hydrate with a electrolyte-rich water, not Sports Drink, not Gatorade, not Powerade. There are waters out there that says electrolytes instead of them. All it is really is, as I said before, is a pinch or two this Himalayan sea salt, this Celtic sea salt inside of your water. So that's all it is. Our body stores all our trace minerals as salt, so it's the same process as well. And that is number 6. Eat to help with, not hinder. Let's help with anemia. Milk, wheat, lima beans, greens, beans, collard greens, and all that kind of stuff. Cabbage, carrots, cashews, cauliflower, strawberries, lentil beans, broccoli, chickpeas, plantains, which is a type of banana, sorghum, African yams, not our types of yams, but African yams, or cassava. Cassava is like a pumpkin, but from either South America or Africa as well, but we can get it here. All are known to contain that thiocyanate I was talking to you about earlier. You can buckwheat hot cereal in the morning. You can have salad with a lot of this stuff. You can have lima beans as a bean or a side as well. Lentil soup is phenomenal. Everyone's eating broccoli these days, okay? Chickpeas, if you grind them up, there's nothing more that. If you add some olive oil and some spices to it, that's hummus. So there's different ways to get all this stuff into your system on a daily basis. You're getting yourself as a sickle cell patient. You're getting away from all the junk. You're being healthy. In the next slide, please, I'll show you that it's actually cost effective as well. Being healthy, this little study was done. Eating it on a daily basis is going to cost you about $7.48. Again, this is conventional, not all organic, because organic is a little bit more expensive. But if you prepare your meals at home, it's about $7.48. While on a fast food diet on a daily basis is $50.30. Now, things that you fall in, you see stuff. You also know how your pocketbook feels at the end of the week, because you sort of see where you also like. If you take your lunch, 5 days a week, you see that you have a few more dollars in your pocket. So to all my patients, everyone complains about eating healthy is too expensive. We see right from the studies, it's not. And another was done at the Oaks Community College. Showed that the average person per item per week pays $1 to $2 per person per week. In contrast to a fast food diet, is $6 per item. You know that eating fast food is very convenient. We have these fat-based slides, but realize that you have to continue to eat healthy while doing all of that. Although it's convenient, you're taking away from the nutritional value of what you're eating. You're eating empty food. Always eat food that has life behind it. You cooked it, you ate it. Versus you can see that hamburger or whatever it made, and you know where what was put inside of it. But you can control everything that's put inside of your food. Next, it's very easy to eat healthy because eat is better for you, and we just want you all just to be healthy. That depends on a healthy, well-balanced diet. As such, there's actual research that's been going on since before, showing you guys that eating healthy will give you a longevity, will give you better life. And scientists are already stating that just by eating well, you can stop crisis. Okay, is take charge and empower yourself by improving the way you eat. It's a habit. Eating is just like any other habit. Just form that daily instant. Cut out that processed food, replace it with an apple. Cut the processed food, replace it with something whole. You see edit. In a month or two, you're completely eating healthy. I've had patients that come in here and just say it's a lot easier than I thought it was. Facebook is huge. All social media things is huge. You can go and form these communities. Also, in your own community, it's very important for you to form little groups, even individuals that don't have sickle cell disease. Everyone has some sort of chronic disease going on these days. And by eating well, you can control all these chronic diseases. Most important ever, stopping yourself, caring for yourself, or seek education to excel your health. Or contact me at www.global.net or drcharlesware.com. As always, discuss any sort of dietary changes you plan to make with your healthcare provider. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please ask them now.
Thank you much, Dr. Ware. So we are open for a few questions. If people do have them, if they can type them in the box on your computer screen, or you could email them to me if you're on your phone. Don't see anything coming up. I want to ask Dr. Ware, if you were to identify either the top three or the first three things to change or incorporate into someone's diet for the great impact on health, what would they be?
Hydration, first and foremost. Change the type of fluids you're ingesting. Drinks just lead to dehydration. The thing that I always try to tell my patients is we're realizing how dehydrated we really are and how important proper types of water really is. So by just changing that right there is going to be huge. Also, eat breakfast. I'm sorry, the number of individuals who are completely healthy, but they don't have breakfast. I'm like, you're expecting to wake up and sleep in 6 to 8 hours and then functioning for another 4 or 5 hours before you eat one thing.
Right.
I think is the importance of phytonutrients, which means nutrition comes from plants, fruits, the veggies. So changing those three things just by having an extra fruit a day, having an extra leafy green a day would completely change someone's health.
Thank you. And then the other question I had for you is, do you have specific things that you say to your patients and or their families to help them decide to make this transition in diet?
I'm brutally honest. So the thing I usually do is if you continue down this unhealthy path, there's only one place for you, and that's worse health. I don't try to use the shock value, but and that's the reason why I put the slide in about the cost of it. I have a lot of my patients who afford, quote unquote, to eat well, but then I'll go over a diet with them, and I use the entire family for $60 a month. A week, versus when you're eating out, meals cost you $60. So the cost factor is high. Then the fact that not the way it tastes. I said, well, that's why they invented herbs and spices. Why you like that chicken there is only because they put a spice blend together that allowed the taste to taste so good. You can recreate that at home. Experiment. The other thing is the healthy snacks. I said the free snacks that you actually used to. You can recreate all that stuff at home. Start to it's not just about, for me and for my patients. I say it's not just about the eating, it's the process of being together as a family as well. Mm-hmm. So if you're all disjointed and you're stressed out, how about you guys prepare cookies together? In a way to bring each other together, you can have a conversation, but more importantly, you're doing something healthy for each other.
Right. So, I have a question from someone in the audience, and this person is asking your thoughts on aloe vera water.
It really depends on the condition, and the reason why I say that is phenomenal for fighting parasites inside the stomach. It's phenomenal for helping to repair some of the damage done from either being dehydrated or creating too much mucus inside the gut. Taking too long, it can actually go the opposite way. Mm-hmm. So the thing I will always tell patients is really that's one of the ones I said you really want to talk to a qualified healthcare professional. And unfortunately, it's not going to be usually a MD. It's going to be a naturalistic person who knows about aloe. Because again, unfortunately, a lot of these natural things don't really translate into Western medicine or all the knowledge. So I always say go to your local nutrition store. A lot of you have a nutritionist on staff, and they can lead you to a better way. And it will be a licensed nutritionist that you want to speak to, not as
Great. Okay, last question. There's one of our participants is asking if you're aware of any good websites or cookbooks for this population, and I'm going to interject here just to say that we will be providing information about one cookbook that's just been released, and we will also gather information both from Dr. Ware and from Nakia on websites and other cookbooks that they might suggest. Dr. Ware, for instance, I believe one of your colleagues, Tamika, has a cookbook available on her website. Now, just to keep things moving, and because we are on schedule and want to stay there, I'm going to go ahead and move on to my pleasure to introduce our next speaker. Next slide, please. Ms. Nakia Vaughn. Nakia Vaughn was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. Nakia graduated from Baltimore City College in 1995 and attended UMES and Morgan State University, majoring in English with a concentration in journalism. Nakia is very active in her community and volunteering and writing for the local magazine, The Flywire. Worked for Comcast NBC Universal for 13 years up until the birth of her daughter Simone, who was born with sickle cell anemia SS. Nakia resigned her position in 2013 to work with the community of those with medical needs. In 2013, Nakia started an organization, Simone and Friends, which advocates for sickle cell patients like her husband and her daughter. Simone and Friends partnered with Sinai Hospital in 2014 and raised money to help the children at their children's hospital. In 2014, Sickle Cell Awareness Month, Simone and Friends hosted their inaugural Ladies Who Lunch with speakers attorney Marilyn Mosby, author Sherry Booker, winner of NAACP Award, and many more. The event brought women of all dynamics together to discuss why giving back is important. Nakia is nominated by Sinai LifeBridge this month as one of Maryland's top 100 women for her work in the community. On Tuesday, 2015, Nakia hosted her inaugural Ribbons in the Sky to honor those who've passed away from complications with sickle cell anemia, where Baltimore City's Health Commissioner, Dr. Lena Wynn, and Sinai LifeBridge's Chief and Chairman of Pediatrics, Dr. Joseph Wiley, were keynote speakers. On September 19, 2015, Nakia hosted her first Rock Out Sickle Cell, a concert where all proceeds went to Sinai LifeBridge Health's Race for Our Kids. The concert was a sellout, standing room only, concluding success. Currently, Nakia is working on her second annual Giving Tuesday that will benefit a sickle cell family in need this holiday season. Nakia vows to bring more knowledge to this disease, specifically to those in her community who have not, who may have the means that would otherwise help these families leading healthy lives. Nakia resides in Baltimore with her husband Charmone and two children, Lanston, 6 years old, and Simone, 3 years old. Welcome, Nakia.
Thanks, Grace. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to thank Dr. Proudford and Grace for allowing me to share my story with you all today. It is much appreciated, and I hope that my family story will be an added benefit to all of those affected by sickle cell anemia. Thank you all for calling in today. My daughter Simone, who is 3 years old, was diagnosed with sickle cell anemia SS at 6 weeks old. My husband also has sickle cell anemia SS, and I have the trait. My son Langston, 6, who's from a previous relationship, also has the trait. Therefore, my family must continue to be educated and be aware of any updated sickle cell information and facts as it affects my entire household. On his 3rd birthday, she was scheduled to go to get her immunizations the Monday after her birthday party. Instead of a routine checkup, Simone had a 3-day stay at Sinai after developing a 103-degree fever during that visit. Next slide. Pediatrician Dr. Chan Ong called us for a follow-up and suggested a change with her diet. With hematologist and Dr. Botelli's approval, my husband and I considered the change. I went suggested diets for children living with sickle cell, and it was suggested that a diet high in vitamins and high calories would benefit these children as their bodies use more energy. This concerned me as I didn't want Simone to gain unnecessary weight. After further reading, the high-calorie diet suggested that the diet be high in nutritional foods and high with folate. Contain empty calories such as chips, sodas, and juices. Next, please. As foods that would benefit Simone, we decided to let her try them and see what she enjoyed. So corn, string beans, and asparagus. So foods, we incorporated proteins and healthy snacks in our family's diet. But it started to get bland, so I decided to try and spruce it up with colorful foods on the plate. Next, please. I worried that a sudden change in our eating habits would not go over so well, so I made a plan to get the entire family involved to make it a smooth transition. Next, please. It is a huge space, and we had a small plot next to our shed that was overrun with bricks and weeds. So the professional landscaper who came and dug it out, tilled the dirt, and he created a beautiful space for the children. Next slide, please. I wanted to have the children make a summer garden full of healthy fruits and vegetables, including strawberries, watermelon, herbs, and string beans, etc. We purchased an inexpensive sprinkler system to help keep the garden and to stay hydrated. My grandmother, their great-grandmother, helped the children maintain the garden. She would come over and add things to the yard and make it exciting. This all taught the children about nature and science. Getting educated while eating healthy was definitely a plus. Next, please. Here you see just a few of the examples of the seeds we used to plant in the children's garden. These were in the dollar store, 2 for $1.50 each. Of the cost of watermelons, green beans, and beets that we spend in the grocery store. Imagine that you're growing them yourself, free of pesticides and in organic soil. Slide, please.
Can you hear Nakia? Did we lose? Nakia there?
I hear.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, slide, please. Okay, sorry, I don't know what happened. Can you all hear me? Yes, and it may have been my error. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. So, okay, sorry, where am I? Okay. Over the next few months, we started to see flowers budding and the children's harvest was beginning to grow and grow. Pictured here are some lima beans and cucumbers that Simone and her brother Langston are picking. Next slide, please. The excited children had seen something they created made both my husband and myself very happy. Simone loved digging in the dirt and planting her seeds. She knows that she has sickle cell and always says to me, "Mommy, sickle cell sucks." And it makes it easier for us to show her that what she is eating is the food that she is growing to help her live a healthy lifestyle. She and her brother know the simple things about sickle cell, and we try to educate them as much as we can at their age. Next slide, please. Lane and Simone are also great helpers when it comes to preparing their harvest. Lane helps to create meal plans for the week, and Simone helps me in the kitchen. She loves to cook. Adding proteins such as turkey, chicken, and fish to our meals make our healthy living a success. Next, please. Here are some of our creations from our kitchen. Fruit and folates and fresh herbs make living well with sickle cell very easy. Next, please. Early bread. My guide to healthy eating and living well with sickle cell. Next, please. Examples of our daily routine eating. For breakfast, we have smoothies, steel-cut oatmeal with fresh fruit or honey and cinnamon and raisins. We also have a Jack LaLanne juicer, and as Dr. Ware mentioned, we press raw juice using apples, spinach, kale, and celery. I was surprised how good the fresh raw juice tastes. For lunch, I prepare meals to go in colorful bins with yogurt, fresh fruits, nuts, whole grain breads with leftover carved turkey or chicken breast. Our afternoon snacks include popcorn, sea salt, watermelon slices, and sugar-free popsicles. Our example is baked salmon, asparagus, brown rice, and salads. Most importantly, water. My family loves infused water using fresh fruits, and we use mason jars to make it enticing to drink. This creates calorie-free, refreshing water to stay hydrated, which is key to those living well with sickle cell anemia. Next slide, please. Active. She's very active and outgoing. We try not to limit her activities, although we know that we have to be very careful with activities such as swimming, which of course she loves. Over the summer, Simone hosted a lemonade stand and used fresh mint from her garden in her lemonade. All seeds went to Rock Out Sickle Cell, which was a concert that benefited Life Bridges Health Race for Our Kids this summer. She showed all of her customers her garden and gave away vegetables and herbs to those who supported her stand. She currently takes ballet and loves her peers and her teacher, Mrs. Lindsay. Next, please. Here is an example of a healthy snack in a colorful pink good bin, like glasses and yogurt. These are great for traveling and eating after a planned activity. Next slide, please. Simone, before her ballet class, planting her garden and watering her garden to help the garden grow. Next, please. Pain, go away. Come again, some. Never mind, never. We never want pain again. Right? In our lifestyle, both Simone and my husband have been crisis-free for well over 1 year. I ensure that my children and my husband stay up to date on all doctor visits and transfusions. My face stays hydrated with water, natural juices, and raw juices. Slide, please. Hold. Here is Simone holding her beautiful string beans, and she was very, very proud of them, as you can see. Next slide, please. In Baltimore, we have a very high presence of food deserts. Simone and friends plans on contacting local farmer markets and universities to see about growing foods rich in folate to help local sickle cell warriors and others who depend on non-nutritional foods to get the nutrients that we believe help in living well with sickle cell. Our goal is to make this a nationwide effort. Next slide, please. Simone proudly displaying her garden. Fresh fruits we eat for healthy snacking. We also have here our foods prepping for the next week. Next, please. Here we have Simone showing off her peppers after a summer rain. So Simone eating kale salad, which she loves. Fresh tea with herbs from the garden. Next, please. Simone watering her garden with her Dora water can. Next, please. not only learned how to plant foods to eat for success, she learned about overall gardening, including deadheading the marigolds, which help to keep pests like moles, squirrels, etc. away. They hate the smell of marigolds, and this made the children's gardening a success. This concludes the presentation for my family's living well with sickle cell. Thank you so very much for taking a walk with Simone and Friends Garden. We must continue to help one another, stay educated, and keep fighting the fight against sickle cell until a definitive cure is found. Always discuss dietary changes with your healthcare provider. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Simone. And I apologize. I think I inadvertently muted you there for a little while, and I'm very, very sorry about that. But it was a lovely presentation. Both presentations were just great, both in content and presentation. So we're now opening it up for questions for Nakia and or for Dr. Ware. Any just questions that you have on the topic. We do ask if you can type your questions in the box that's provided on your computer screen on the lower right. And I did get a question, one more, while I wait to see what might be coming in. Dr. This one is for you, and it's from Emmy, who was, I believe, in Tanzania. And she unfortunately had to leave the webinar because her computer battery was getting low. But she says her sister is a nurse, and she recommended ferric acid, Ferrac, to her. And Emmy's question is, in your opinion, Dr. Ware, ferric, is it the right prescription, or should she stop using it?
That was a middle question, but ferric acid is a derivative of iron. So again, a lot of the patients with cell, the belief is the more iron we have in our system, the more oxygen we'll be able to uptake. But I always say you have to have a good balance of all of your supplements. You just can't take one supplement as far as like a micronutrient like that and think that it's going to last forever, because it will throw off the balance. If you take too much on your copper or your other trace minerals can also be thrown off. The main is always to get a level check. It's a mineral test that I think even in Tanzania can also perform for very, very cheap to see exactly where all your levels are. And from there, you can devise a good plan of action. Because, again, you don't always have to take the ferric acid or zinc or whatever else as well. The cycle through, especially if you start to eat healthy as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much for that. And then for both of you, I just want to confirm and get your, just a brief input on the importance of the relationship with the patient, their family, and their healthcare providers.
Simone was, this is Kia, I'm sorry, from Simone and Friends.
Sure.
When Simone was diagnosed originally, it was, of course, it was devastating, even though we knew there was a very high chance of us having a child with sickle cell anemia. So, I contacted her pediatrician, and we were recommended to a hematologist, which is, in my opinion, the best in the land, Dr. Wiley and Dr. Fixler. And to maintain a really healthy relationship with them is key, to making sure that we're adhering to care, any, prescriptions that we need. And, my husband had a stroke when he was 2, so therefore they keep a very close eye on Simone during the transdoppler reading of her brain. And it is very important that people keep those types of relationships with their healthcare provider so that you can get the best and updated information on this disease. And, I feel that with me maintaining that relationship, it's building a relationship that led me to this webinar, for example, and to be able to spread the information to the community, which is my passion for those, like I said, who are very truly underserved and may not have the information that otherwise, because they're not going to the doctor. So I can give the information on social networking that I've gotten from, the doctors or from other community-based organizations. So it's very important that we maintain relationships with each other, family, friends, and our health providers.
Great. And I'm going through, and it does look like there are some additional questions, and some of those are directed to me. But one is, Dr. Ware, can you just give us a little bit more information on exactly what ghee is?
Oh, I'm sorry. Ghee is basically clarified butter. Is when you basically melt the butter down, came off all the fat off the top. It basically just this leftover liquid that's there is the actual pure fat of the other proteins and weight inside of actual milk itself or the butter itself. So basically, you're getting a pure product, especially if it's organic, that I'm shown again to basically help as an anti-inflammatory type thing. Anti-inflammatory, it's full of flavor, and actually has some of those telophorals inside of it that are very, very close to the body as well, that are going to help keep the cells nice and round as well. It's not going to cause arteries or cause cholesterol issues too.
And then just really quickly, I have one other question, and I think I want to speak just a little bit about the cookbook that you see information on our last slide here. But there is a question, Dr. Ware, about taking chlorophyll tablets.
Yes. Chlorophyll is something that I have a lot of my patients do because of the fact that those phytonutrients that are key for us to basically have good oxygen production in our system is improved scientifically. Actually chelate the system as well as help the body uptake oxygen. I'm more so a fan of the liquid form. It's more stable. When you dry it out, it's kind of harder on the system.
And your volume is a little bit. It's not. You're not coming in quite that clearly at the moment.
I apologize. No
problem. Okay, actually, at this point, so I will just quickly mention that, first I'll just say if there are any questions that I wasn't able to address, and there were some questions specifically regarding making the slides available to those, and I will get permission from Dr. Ware and Ms. Vaughn, and certainly if they give their permission, then I'm happy to get those slides. So you can always contact me via email and let me know if that's what you're interested in. And then quickly, a nutritionist at Alfred DuPont Hospital for Children in Wilmington, Michelle Fulmer, has just published through the hospital a cookbook for eating well with sickle cell, pictured here. And on this slide, you'll notice there's an email address is the top link there, and that's, if you email that address, you can request a copy of the book. And the next link is to the press release from the hospital regarding the book. And then the very last, which I see is, not everyone might be able to see that whole last line, but that is where if you type that address, you can receive the cookbook as a PDF file, and you can either save it or print it. Again, anybody interested, please just email me and let me know, and I will be following up. And that's going to conclude with, in conclusion, I just want to thank our speakers for their wonderful presentations and sharing both their knowledge and experience with us to learn about incorporating a healthy, nutritious diet into our daily lives to improve the quality of life and health outcomes for those living with sickle cell and their families. I also want to thank all those who joined us today for their interest and commitment to the cause, as well as their thoughtful questions and comments. We also thank Ms. Donnette Carroll of the Sickle Cell and Thalassemia Patients Network in Brooklyn, New York, for recommending Dr. Ware as one of our speakers today. And finally, we thank Dr. Karen Proudford of the William E. Proudford Sickle Cell Fund for suggesting that Nakia present today. And lastly, as I mentioned, the book, and that is about it for what I had to contribute. Just please feel free to contact me for any further information or contact information related to the webinar or any other topics of interest. We have recorded the session today and will make it available to all as soon as possible. Again, thanks so much for being a part of today's webinar. We look forward to staying connected with all of you and continuing our commitment to the entire sickle cell community. Thanks for both of our presenters.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it for today.
Take care.